What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Shelly Finkle, Deontay Wilder, Eddie Hearn, and Anthony Joshua. Get this. Shelly Finkle states, it's wholly true. Deontay Wilder's manager, Shelly Finkle, explains why he avoided fresh approaches from the Anthony Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, but insists that he is open to fights with AJ and champion Alexander Usyk. Deontay Wilder's manager has told Talk Sports that his side of the story after receiving a fresh approach from Anthony Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn. Hearn told last month that he sent an email to Finkle for the first time in a while, following failed attempts on the showdowns back in 2018 and 19. He said, I actually reached out to Shelly Finkle the other day because I have so much money to offer Deontay Wilder in an offer, but they have not came back to me. I don't know whether Deontay Wilder doesn't want to hear about the offer or whatever, okay? Now, a month later, Shelly Finkle has explained the situation from his perspective. He says, it's come out a few times by Eddie Hearn that I avoided him. And he said, that's partially true. Well, it's wholly true, okay? He said, we have a fight coming up with Robert Hearn'S. Eddie emailed me. Can we talk? I have some big offer for Deontay Wilder. Right now, we have the Hearn'S fight. That's all we need to concentrate on, because if something went wrong there, nothing else would be. And if it goes right, it'll all get worked out. And I felt if I got a call with Eddie, the next thing you would be on the call to me. Oh, I did you and Eddie talk. I said to Deontay and Al Heyman, what do you think? And they said, let's just get this fight out of the way. And sure enough, Eddie Hearn says Shelly didn't even want to talk to me. I think he also has this feeling that I dislike Eddie. No, I don't always agree with him. We're on opposite sides. He has a fighter who will hopefully be an opponent for one of my guys in this case, Deontay, and it's nothing of the sort. Barry Hearn and I go back 30, 40 years, and it's always been very cordial. And the Eddie thing, he's been around not as long as he thinks he has, but he's done some really exciting good things, so I give him credit for that. He said, and when it comes time to make a deal, it'll get done or not. It got done with Vladimir Klitschko, and now he seems to be on path to Tyson Fury. I wish him well. Okay. Those are the words of Shelly Finkle. Let me counterpunch. Well, it's partially true, then it's whole true. Well, that's all you really need to hear. So Eddie Hearn wasn't lying about that. I thought we was going to receive something that actually was going to contradict what Eddie Hearn said to Talk Sports, because this is the same interviewers, okay? It's the same radio station that interviewed both Shelly Finkle and Eddie Hearn, all right? And when you're dealing with those two guys, and once you hear two different things, then you can ask yourself who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth. Now, Shelly Finkle said, well, hey, I asked Al Heyman and Deontay Wilder, and they said, well, let's get through this one first, then we'll talk. Here's my counterpunch. Why didn't you just text Eddie exactly what you said to Talk Sports? Counterpunch. See, communication is the whole thing. His job is to manage, right? He could have managed to tell Eddie Hearn, listen, let's get through the Hearn'S fight first, because if he loses, we won't have anything to talk about anyway. That makes sense. What he said to Talk Sports makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is how he let that opportunity or that door open for Eddie Hearn to assume that he doesn't like him, not interested, and didn't want to talk. So obviously, he left all that open. He left all that in question simply because Shelly Finkle could have done his fucking job. He could have just texted Eddie back or emailed Eddie back. Like, look, what do you think? You ask someone else and then you don't get back to him. You know something? It really grinds my gears because I take that shit personally, because my job is acting and stunt performing. Okay, take myself for example. I hate when you reach out to someone and they don't get back to you unless they need you. See, it pisses me off because they could at least do the common decency, common courtesy to say, hey, man, we're not interested. We got somebody. Instead of you hearing, yo, you know so-and-so got the job that you went out for, you know, and then you don't get back to them. See, that's their job. Their job is to tell you. Now, I understand if it's 100 people that went for the same thing. But in this case, this is more transparent because you had a promoter reaching out to another manager about getting a fight between their fighters. Right? So it's not like you haven't worked with Eddie before. You worked with Eddie, like he said in this interview, with Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua. So you can't say, I don't know what it's like to work with Eddie. I don't know where he gets it from. Well, he gets it from the fact that you don't do the professional fucking thing, is to let him know what you told Talk Sports, what you talked to Al Heyman about. Not everything, but at least something in short. Not just leave it silent. This isn't a subliminal thing. Well, I guess he's not interested, because that's exactly all you have to deal with. Okay, obviously he's not responding to me. So I'm taking he doesn't want this fight. So if anybody asks me about that, I'm going to tell them how I feel based on what happened or didn't happen. Counterpunch. So I feel that Shelly Finkle should have said this. Now this is a relayed conversation. Now Eddie hears it from the world instead of the things that they supposed to discuss together to make Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. And if he's doing stuff like this, it makes you wonder what other things that he did or didn't do to make the fight or to make the negotiations fall through in yesteryear. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Shelly Finkle responding to Eddie Hearn and the situation of not responding back to Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua for a potential super fight, probably in the Americas or the UK. Tell me what you think. Please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.